everybody. This is Dr. Kevin Blau from Blau Family Chiropractic, again with Sara Shaver from Compass Counseling, where she helps our Portage community and beyond with things of the day, of course. Today, what we want to talk about is, obviously, we're in this time of COVID-19, and there's a lot of things that come out from this, and some of them might be boredom, anxiety, depression, fear. Is there anything else that we should kind of name, maybe that people are going through? And what we want to do today is kind of go through what are some techniques that we can work through as a family dynamic, to kind of head off some of these, I don't know what you want to call them, realities that are happening right now that we're dealing with. Good morning.
Sure. Yeah, I was, I think overall, like the big umbrella over all those things is stress. And as individuals, we respond to stress differently than the person next to us. And we respond differently to stress depending on the situation that we're in. And just knowing about stress and how our body responds to it, that in and of itself can actually lower some of our stress, because there's an understanding of what's going on. When I think about stress, Kevin, I think about that there's really three ways to kind of tackle it or to bust it. Yeah. You can fix the problem, right? You can deal with how your body's responding to it, or you can deal with your thought patterns. So like, for example, if you're driving a car and you're out in the country and the car breaks down, okay? So you're going to be feeling pretty stressed. But then all of a sudden you realize you have all the parts needed to fix that tire. So you can fix the problem. But what if you don't have a spare tire, or you don't know how to change it? And your body is reacting, your palms are sweaty, your heart is racing, you're feeling scared, you're waiting for someone to come and rescue you, right? So you can deal with the stressful situation by just calming your body down, calming your heart rate down. So that would be dealing with it physically, because at that moment you can't fix the problem of the actual, I need my car to get moving again, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can also deal with it cognitively. What are your thought patterns that go around it? You can be sitting there and thinking, wow, I'm never going to be rescued. I'm never going to see my family again, which we know is, far-fetched. Or you can calm yourself by having thoughts of, wait a second, I've never changed a tire before. When someone comes and helps me, I'm going to watch them, or I'm going to make sure I learn from this experience. Or, things could be much worse. It could be below zero out right now. So being able to change your perception of the situation is another way to resolve or help bust some of that stress. Yeah. So when we're looking at like COVID-19 and stay at home, you think about, well, what are the specific problems that some people have? Maybe a shortage of food. If you don't know this yet, anyone under the age of 18 in the Portage area gets free lunches from the school district. We also know that food pantries are still up and running, and you can also donate to them as well. If there's issues with teaching your kids, because now you're in this role of being a teacher. I just talked to a family just yesterday, actually, and they were just really stressed about sitting down and doing these flashcards with kids. And I said, wait a second, let's see if we can change that up a bit. What if you did 10 flashcard words, and then every time you did 20 push-ups? Because the age of their kids, they would think that would be really fun to do some of that physical exercise, right? And so just being able to take the problem of how do I teach my kids to how do I make this fun, right? Or maybe it's doing a math problem, and every math problem you do, then you get to, play basketball, things like that.
Yeah, in our family, I got to give it a good example. Our kids love, at least my two younger boys, really enjoy working with Connects and Legos and all these kind of things. Like, they almost obsess over it. It's really good for them. It's good alone time for them to be creative on their own. But we actually have to use that as kind of hanging fruit and go, when you get your schoolwork done, then you can do this, and so they're really motivated to do that. And I find especially for parents, what I'm finding is they do get stressed because they feel not capable, and they feel
Right,
like they got to have 6 hours of school every day.
right,
No, I don't know if you need that. There's a lot of time spent in between in a school day, in a school building. When you're at home, if you're focused, you probably don't need that many hours. So to stress over, man, we need to somehow have so many hours or reach a certain point. I think if you just relax, a lot of kids just need some time to run around. Do you do that in schools? They do that, right? They have
right.
some structured time and to create a rhythm in your day so kids can
Exactly.
expect certain things. If it means game time, hey, at 10 o'clock, we're going to have game time every
Yeah,
day, or we're going to listen to classical music, or we're going to whatever your functions in your family. I think it's hard to do because you're not used to that rhythm, of the day.
right, right. I know some families are really struggling just with the makeup of their living situation, just to have space from each other, right?
Yeah.
And most of us are not used to looking at each other's faces 24/7, right?
Right.
And so I know that some families have been able to create little kind of private pods for family members, whether it's, for younger kids, making a fort out of some boxes or some blankets, or even putting up a curtain to kind of section off an area of the house so that people can just have some of their own space and private time can be helpful. If one of your stressors is I'm isolating, I'm not connecting, there are lots of different ways we connect even during this uncertain times, whether it's using different technologies like you and I are connecting right now,
Exactly.
or writing letters, or being able to say hi to your neighbor as you're standing from one driveway to another one. So get outside and find ways to connect. If there's significant mental health issues, all mental health clinics, to my knowledge, are open right now. Many of
Yes.
them are taking new patients. So that would be another example of, I got this problem, how do I go about fixing it?
What do you find with that? I mean, a lot of what we've talked about, and this is our third part here, where we kind of talked about moms and then dealing with kids, and now we're kind of dealing with families and maybe getting into specific things. We're really talking about hopefully preventative measures, so we don't get to a point of a clinical situation. They may happen, and they probably will as this extends. There may be those issues. Would you say we're talking preventative things, like let's get on this now, let's do something before we see a problem? As far as
Absolutely. It's, just like any problem, if we can try to deal with it before it gets to a crisis point, it's easier, just much more manageable, and often less expensive to deal with problems if you do it more preventative or before it gets to that real crisis point.
do you think our society thinks that way though? I mean, it's kind of interesting. In my profession, a lot of times people are motivated by fear of worsening, right?
Right.
It's based on fear-based things. And I don't want to say that we're here to scare people. We're here to be encouragement, to be encouraging and give hope and healing for people, recognizing the problems that are currently happening and understanding what is a positive move forward. If you can recognize it, now you can deal with it, right? If you don't recognize it, and maybe there's a lot of people out there that go, there are no problems. There's no problems. I have no problems. There's nothing going on. And, that's part of that grieving we talked about before. It's not really happening. This
Mhm.
really isn't happening. And so then we lose out on some of these other levels of understanding the situation and maybe recognizing in a spouse or not recognizing in a spouse or children what's happening. So I think these are really, really great things that we need to talk about. I know I'm from a German background. You don't talk about anything, man. You just plow through it. So this has been helpful for me, hopefully for everybody that's watching, that we talk about these things. These are important, and to recognize them. And then really the big thing, and maybe we can get into some of these, is do it. Like, we
Right.
think about things and think about them and think about them, and we don't really do anything. And then at the other end, we go, I'm still stressed. And I know we're human beings, so first we must be, but then we do things as well. We have
Right.
to, and sometimes just out of, I don't know any better,
Yeah.
but Sara Shaver said that this is a good idea for my kids. I don't even know maybe what I'm doing, but hey, that sounds pretty good. I think I'm going to do it. So maybe you can speak to that, and maybe I
Yeah.
know you have a list of things that Portage is providing to treat this stress. We talked about boredom and anxiety, depression, all these things, but you said the main thing is stress. How do we kind of de-stress? What are some techniques,
Yeah.
things?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, Kevin, when you're experiencing a situation and it's creating stress, and stress is really, the definition of stress is any change.
Yeah.
Any change to an organism experiences stress. And so you can either fix a problem, so I mentioned a few of those things. You can deal with it on how your body responds. So we know about exercise. I know you've had other webinars and information out on just physical activity and the importance of that. But then you can also deal with it with your perceptions or thought patterns. And I just heard a quote actually yesterday, and I'm failing to remember what author wrote this, but it said, "You are borrowing troubles from tomorrow." And I thought that was really good, that so many times we are stressed about what might be happening in the future. And maybe we just need to be present, right? And so we don't know what this whole COVID-19 is going to make our community and society look like. I mean, certainly we know what the numbers are looking like today as far as the economy and things like that. But how can you change some of those thought patterns right now? I mean, one question I encourage people to ask is, when this is all over and we're kind of back to normal, whatever that will look like, what are you going to miss about this time period? I think all of us are actually going to miss some things about our life right at this moment. We're going to look back and be like, you know what? It was difficult, but it was really cool how every night we were all together as a family.
Yeah.
Or remember all that time we had. In fact, our family, we just put a really grueling puzzle together and we ended up gluing it, and my husband and son are making a frame for it, and we are framing this puzzle, and this will forever be our COVID-19 puzzle.
Yeah. It's great. And I totally agree with you. I had a really neat colleague tell me this once. He said, if you want the best advice, ask the person that you will be in 10 years, what should I do today? You kind of can be your own counselor a little bit in the sense of in 10 years, ask yourself, in your mind, what would you do today? And I totally agree with you that I think these times we should take advantage of them, because you'll look back and you'll regret that, man, I had all this time. I could have walked every day, but I kind of got self-absorbed in the situation, or, I get kind of hung up. I had stinking thinking. I had whatever it was that was going on, and I just wasn't able to pull out of it. And that's why we're here. We're here for this reason. So maybe you can listen to a little gold nugget that is just enough to take you and your family, or your spouse, or your marriage, to take you into that next level amidst this storm. There's an eye in the hurricane, right? And there's a space where you can keep moving with it, right? But there's peace amongst this, and it's not just a face thing to say, hey, this is just going to be joyful and peaceful. But I think there is a certain level of that, and you can create that with your thinking, right? Through changing things, changing the situation, fixing what you can, accepting what you can't, and moving on. I think that was great advice.
Yeah.
So what are some other things, maybe as we wrap it up, that maybe are some doing things that you're finding in the community, and maybe I'll add a few things as well, that are outlets for us, for families to go, hey, this is free. This is whatever it is, how we can get out there and maybe just kind of sidestep kind of the hole we might be in, and kind of get out of that and create action in our family.
Yeah, some things that we can help even contribute to the community is doing the things like cutting hearts out and decorating our windows with those, or going outside with sidewalk chalk and making really cool designs. Not only is it great stress busting, because we know that creativity is one of those really calming factors for us, but it also spreads like beauty and just kindness in our community. There are, a number of, we have a lot of great walking paths and things like that. My understanding is state parks are still closed right now, but there are some other places that you can certainly find that you can walk the perimeters, as long as you're 6 feet away from people. Getting outside is important. I just learned the other day that down in Madison, which would be a little bit of a drive, but gas is really cheap right now. The Alliant Energy, they just did their like Christmas light display, but they put up other lights. It's not all Christmassy, and that's free. And what a great, if you really need a little short road trip to go see some beauty.
I've noticed people have decorated their houses in blue, recognizing healthcare workers, frontline first responders. I've seen people drawing on chalk on the ground, just expressing themselves. Music. I have a number of patients that are enjoying music together, whether it's a ukulele or whatever they've come up with. When you said creativity, is really a lot of it's found in art and music, right? And so if there's a way we can incorporate that, there's a brain function and a totality of encompassing the whole brain in those activities that anybody can enjoy. It doesn't matter what language everybody understands that language. It's pretty straightforward.
There is incredible creativity out there. I always say, for every minute you're spending listening to the devastation of COVID-19, do a minute of good stuff, like inspirational, heartwarming media out there. It's out there, right in our own community, right in our own streets, and in the world.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what you think of this, but I try to begin the day with at least prayer, meditation, possibly affirmations. You talked about what am I thinking about? What I'm thinking about is what I focus on. What I focus on is what I am, right? Over time. And so, there's so many places on the internet, Facebook. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but find your place. There's a lot of free resources on meditative music, just relaxation, positive affirmations while you're doing that, whether it's prayer, meditation. Church services are like all over the place. If you want a positive message, there's so many out there that you can get it. My kids love it. They go, can we listen to this person or that person again? And, they just kind of connected. Again, you talked about Zoom. We're doing it. FaceTime, all of those things. We're connecting and we're trying to bring hope and healing. And we're not together. We're probably half a mile away, but, here we are bouncing it up to the wherever and down. Those are good things. You said the food pantry is still open. I think there's St. Vincent and there's a food pantry in Portage here. All of those things to meet those needs are available. And if you don't know any better, reach out. There's Portage Strong, Portage Pride. There's a number of different Facebook kind of local Facebook things that are posting stuff all the time. There's scavenger hunts and find a rock. I don't know. All these things people are really getting creative. It's really neat to see. And if you can't find something, you're not looking. I guess that's
I would agree with that. And my understanding is, as of this week, the library has opened up again for like curbside pickup. So, and the library is much more than just books, I always tell people.
Yeah, it's good. So very good. If you didn't get anything out of this, everybody out there, again, you're not looking.
And I guess in closing, Kevin, I just want to remind people, just look at your stress. How is your body responding to it? Can you fix the problem? Can you deal with how your body's responding to it? So can you calm your body? Or can you change your thinking or thought patterns around it? 3 different areas on how you can bust stress.
Very good. That's very helpful. Hopefully that helps out a lot of people as you may be struggling. And if you're thriving, hey, go tell somebody else and be an uplifting light for them, and be a hope and healing beacon for them is important in our community. So reach out for sure. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, you bet.
We'll talk again. We can't. This doesn't end. This isn't just COVID-19. These are good techniques for all times. So
Yeah.
don't let them be just now. Make
That's
sure you
right.
create this rhythm, and like you said, make it real and permanent, like you did with your puzzle. Like
Yeah.
this is gonna go into the future, and this is gonna be a memory that I'm gonna look back in 10 years. I'm gonna go, that's what we did. Wow, and we have great memories about that. So we're doing the same
Right.
thing. Maybe I'll share some of that next time. I appreciate it.
Sounds great. You
And
bet.
hopefully y'all had hope and healing. And thanks again. We'll see you next time.